Hello, I'm Amy McCandlish-Esper, and I am the National Sales Manager and Assistant Winemaker at the Eyrie Vineyards in McMinnville, Oregon. And we're going to taste together the 2019 Pinot Gris, the Eyrie. This is the very first Pinot Gris planted outside of Europe commercially back in 1965. Pretty hard to believe that we did not have any Pinot Gris planted in the New World before David Lett of the Eyrie Vineyards planted it in the Dundee Hills back in the 60s, mid-60s. So it was because of him that we see as much Pinot Gris today as we do coming out of Oregon. And I'd like to walk you through the vineyard. So let's go. Eyrie has been about the same size since we planted our last vineyard, Sisters, in 1989. We make about 9,000 cases of all estate wine. Our 5 organically certified vineyards span a single hillside, encompassing 67 acres of non-irrigated, no-till vineyard land, with about 700 feet in elevation gain. These are the volcanic red soils of the Dundee Hills, just 35 miles from the Pacific Ocean. Not only were we the first to plant Pinot Gris in the New World, but David Lett is responsible for starting the modern-day wine industry as we see it today in the Willamette Valley, having sought out the region for its promise of world-class Pinot Noir, discovering its potential for Pinot Gris along the way. Jason Lett is a second-generation winemaker farming Eyrie today in the same traditions of his father.
So this is Pinot Gris. These are the first Pinot Gris vines planted in the Willamette Valley back in 1965. Actually, these vines were planted in 1968 from the original 120 cuttings that my father brought up here. And as you can see, we're at the phase just before flowering. And honestly, if you look at this plant, the leaf looks exactly like Pinot Noir. Pinot Gris and Pinot Noir are genetically identical. There's only one little gene that causes that color change, but it causes a great change, of course, in the style of the wine. But the reason that we make wine from this spot is because we believe that Pinot Gris has that same genetic potential to express place and the personalities of the people who make it, and the soil, the type of farming, every nuance of where it grows, as well as Pinot Noir.
David Lett used to say that the final sprint of the growing season determines the character of the wine. 2019 is a return to classic Oregon, with near-perfect picking conditions. With less than 100 cases produced, 2019 shows the rounder fruit of a warmer vintage and the mouth-watering acidity of a cooler year. It's a lovely wine that will age for decades and pair beautifully with the same foods you might pair to Pinot Noir, like Pacific Northwest salmon and mushrooms. On the label, you'll see a visual tasting note that Jason painted in watercolor that follows the progression of the wine on the palate. I love the length of this dry wine with rich aromas of chamomile, stone fruit, and white tea. Happy June to you all, and thank you to Spirit of Wine for featuring the Eyrie Vineyards Pinot Gris. We look forward to seeing you all out here in Oregon whenever you're able to make it. And until then, cheers and enjoy.